3, 2, 1. Welcome back to shit. I almost said Cryptocracy. 3, 2, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Defluenced. I'm Uncle Bonehead, and this is
Cryptocracy, aka Alan Taylor.
And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about today's Cryptocracy Newsletter that came out today, Web3 Wednesday, because it's got some rather important stuff that we need to go over. Libraries, the LBC was ruled a security by the SEC.
Yeah, top of the news. This is the big news for the week.
Yeah, it's probably, I'd say, for the month.
Well, I don't know if it beats Elon Musk buying Twitter, but
yeah, probably not. But for what we do and what we're into, this is going to be something I think, in my opinion, is going to be huge.
It is the top Web3 news, I would say. Yeah, I think this is significant in a number of ways. First off, it has huge implications across the entire crypto ecosystem. And so I think the question on everybody's mind is what will this lead up to? Is it going to have an impact on the Ripple case, which is even bigger? That ruling has not yet come down, and I think there are some key differences between the two, actually.
Okay, kid. Okay, for the boneheads out there like me, can you spell this out in like what it means to Web3 and cryptocurrency to the layman?
Yeah. So, what's going on here, I think, with the SEC, they've been getting more aggressive in targeting cryptocurrencies across the board. And that's why they're going after Ripple. That's why they went after LBRY early on. I don't know why they picked on LBRY. There are other projects they could have picked, but they've been pretty consistent in going after projects that have raised funds through an ICO. That's an initial coin offering, and it was simply a way of selling or pre-selling a project's token or cryptocurrency to people who might be interested in using that when interacting with that project. And the interesting thing about LBRY is they actually had their currency in operation before they did an ICO.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and so, but the SEC has been pretty consistent, and the courts have been pretty consistent in ruling in favor of the SEC in the case of projects that have raised money through ICOs. And I think it's pretty clear right now. If you launch your project with an ICO, then you are issuing a security. That's the bottom line. Every single case I have seen involving an ICO has resulted in a loss for that project, and LBRY is no exception. The fact that they even issued an ICO, whether before the token existed or after, that just didn't go well in their favor. In Ripple's case, Ripple didn't issue an ICO, so it remains to be seen how that will be seen by the courts.
That doesn't make any sense if they're going after the ones that do the ICOs and then Ripple didn't. Why are they even bothering going after Ripple?
I think there are a number of reasons. Ripple is first a big fish. If they can make it stick on Ripple, that Ripple is a security, then they can make it stick for any crypto project. So I think
is Ripple backed by a central authority company?
Well, that's one of the sticking points. Ripple Labs, which is the creator of XRP and the XRP Ledger, they are one of the holders. They were up until just in the last few months the largest holder of XRP tokens. However, just in the last couple of months, they have fallen below the 50% threshold on ownership of XRP, which is huge because if they have less percentage of the overall pie, then they cannot influence the market. So the big argument all along has been that XRP responds to market forces, and so the price fluctuates up and down based on market activity, people buying and selling XRP, and that's been Ripple's argument. That's been one of their arguments. There are others, but that's huge. Whether or not the court will see that as a dynamic, because in the Howey test, which is the test used by the courts to determine whether or not an investment is a security, one of the prongs, there are 4 of them, one of the prongs is whether or not investors can expect to earn a profit based on the activities of the company, right? And so one of the contentious points is whether or not Ripple Labs is influencing the price of XRP, and Ripple, of course, is arguing that it does not. And I think there's some very strong arguments for why it does not. And so I think the sticking point for the XRP case, the Ripple case, is going to be whether the courts see that as being true or not. If they agree with Ripple that Ripple Labs does not influence the price of XRP, then they could win that case.
Okay. So, sorry, you caught me in the middle of taking some pharmaceuticals.
Oh, I thought that was ice in a cup.
It was. I was trying to swallow my pills.
All right. Well, welcome to Defluenced, folks, where you get great talk about crypto and some drug taking.
That's right. Go long on weed. Weed cash. Was that
there
Weed Cash Network?
Yeah. We are not backed by Big Farm.
That's right. So with LBRY's judgment, could that affect Hive or anything like that? Because Hive's got a lot of little Hive engine tokens. Is that going to affect any of that kind of stuff?
It really, really, really depends. And I have wondered that myself. And in terms of the Hive blockchain, there's no company backing Hive. There's no centralized management at all. So that's going in Hive's favor. One of the issues with LBRY, I think, is that they are managed by a nonprofit LBRY Foundation. And so it is partially centralized. And anytime you involve centralization, I think you run a huge risk if you are issuing any kind of cryptocurrency, because that could be deemed, if you put that to the test on the Howey test, that could be deemed that the company is influencing the price of the cryptocurrency, or that an expectation of profit is based on that company and its activities. And I think that could have probably hurt LBRY. In terms of Hive, I don't think it would hurt Hive. In other words, the Hive and HBD that is issued on the blockchain, I don't think could be deemed a security. That's just my opinion. Now, the tokens that are issued through Hive Engine, that is another story altogether. And some of those, if we look at the trends in the courts and how the courts have been ruling, some of those could be deemed as securities. It just depends on if anyone's ever going to challenge that or not.
Interesting. So this opened up a whole big bag of worms.
Yeah, I think in the crypto space, the fact that you have crypto exchanges, you have Coinbase, Binance, FTX, all these crypto exchanges, centralized exchanges that are, facilitating the buying and selling of cryptocurrencies, that from a perception point of view to people outside of the industry looks very much like buying and selling of securities.
Yeah.
And so that's why Coinbase has been accused of selling securities. And if you look at some of the tokens that Coinbase sells that have been called securities, like Rally.
Yeah.
They're not, you can't really argue that Rally is a security. I see no elements of security in that. But some people, just because it's being sold on an exchange, well, that says, oh, okay, well, they're selling securities. And so there is a perception problem there.
Interesting. On a side note about Hive, I just thought of this. Did you see that the insurance company, I think it's in China or Korea, one of the two, has blatantly just flat out ripped off the Hive name and the logo?
No, I didn't see that. Really?
I'll have to see if I can find a link to it. You go to their website, and it's just, all they did was change the color from red to blue.
Is that right?
And we called it Hive Insurance. It's like, seriously?
Oh, wow. I'll have to look into that.
It's kind of strange.
And that's, it wouldn't surprise me because the thing is, with decentralized applications, there's no company. So there's no centralized authority. There's nothing like that. So who is going to come after you if you steal their intellectual property? Who's going to, there's nobody there, right? It has to be the entire community.
Right.
So
as far as the logo goes, I would think that you could get some kind of a trademark or something on the logo.
Well, you can, but who's going to own it? Because Hive is not an organization.
You look at all the open source projects throughout Linux, and they've all got logos, and they're all, I don't know if they're all trademarked or what, but nobody steals them.
Well, and another thing, you're right. Another part of this that kind of maybe gets overlooked sometimes is we're truly international now. It used to be that companies and corporations and logos and IP and all that was local. Okay.
Right.
Your biggest threat was not somebody in China ripping off your IP. It was some guy across the street, right? Or down the road or in the next town. But we're talking about the internet. It's a global network. Anybody in the world, and some of these countries don't have IP protection like we have here in the United States, and so there are some very gray legal matters. And China is well known for knockoffs and ripping off brands and their and their IPs. They may not steal a logo, but they'll take like Jordache jeans and they'll just make a fake Jordache jean and put the Jordache name on it, right?
Yeah, the infamous knockoffs.
Yeah, and so that's been going on for a long time.
So, did you want to talk about Splinterland's new NFT project, since it's a little close to home for you?
Yeah, I haven't looked into that too deeply. I just noticed the press release on it.
Uh-huh.
I haven't played Splinterlands in a couple of years, and so I do keep an eye on the developments and what they're doing. But I'm not as inside on it as I used to be. And so I have to dig into the Rooney NFTs a little bit more. But essentially what this is they're issuing an NFT project listed on OpenSea, which is a pretty big deal. So, before the Splinterlands NFTs were all in game. And so you bought them in the game, you earned them in game, you traded them and sold them and everything in game. Now they got one going out on OpenSea. I think that's a pretty big deal.
That's cool. I've heard of OpenSea. So
yeah, well, that's the largest NFT marketplace. So the fact that you've got this partnership going on between, the largest blockchain-based game and the largest NFT marketplace, I do think that's a pretty big deal.
I had something to add there, and I forgot what it was.
That's okay. You can add it later as a footnote.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
That's all right. Just a sign that you're getting old.
Yeah, that's true.
Alzheimer's is a real pain, man.
Old timers disease. That's what we used to call it. Old timers.
That's right.
Now, you mentioned something about Self launching a Web3 fraud problem, or solving the Web3 fraud problem. What is this they're doing? Because I don't quite understand what this is.
Yeah, I just noticed this story. Self is a fraud prevention platform. That's what they're calling themselves. And it's just an application, evidently a service to help people prevent, fraud or solve. Maybe if you have been a victim of fraud, maybe to go after someone for defrauding you. So I'm just looking at their website, and basically it says Self is on a mission to make it all fraud, phishing, those kind of things go away. And so I'm not real clear how it works. I'll have to dig into that a little bit more. So what I do on Cryptocracy basically is I just look for the headlines and I look for interesting things. I might read the article. Sometimes I read it all the way through. Sometimes I just kind of look and scan for the highlights. But I kind of get the gist of the story based on the reading of the headline and the article and the main points. And if it looks interesting enough, then I'll include it in that issue of Cryptocracy. If I have something to say about it, I'll add some commentary, maybe get a little bit snarky with it, kind of entertain, add some entertainment value, and that's essentially what I do with Cryptocracy.
Yeah, that's what your snark just sums it all up. After I looked at their website, if you want to trick people into undergoing a KYC process, just tell them it's for their own benefit. And that's what I'm gathering just from looking on joinself.com. It looks like they are doing KYC for Web3.
Yeah, right. And basically the idea is, look, if you sign up with us, we'll KYC you, and then you don't have to worry about scammers anymore, right? I'm skeptical.
Yeah, me too, because you can take care of your own KYC.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the credit bureaus, right? The credit bureaus came about, why? Because credit was a brand new thing back in the early 70s. You had credit cards coming along, people, convincing you to borrow money at high interest. And, that'll be good for you in the long run because you'll develop a good credit, and then you can borrow more money. So the credit rating came about to verify that a person's credit was actually good enough that you could loan them money. And you know what? That hasn't stopped fraud. It's actually increased fraud. So,
yeah.
It's funny that these arguments are still being made. That, hey, look, if you give us all of your personal information, all your private information, we'll protect that for you, and we'll keep you safe. And in actual practice, it doesn't really work.
Just people don't make any sense. Anything?
Yeah, it's just another way for a company to use. And I see it this way: they take whatever popular trending language is happening, Web3, decentralized, whatever, and they seize upon that to create a business model so that they can, earn a living for themselves. And so I think as consumers, we have to really look past the language and judge a service based on its merit. What is it good for? The best protection against fraud and scamming and phishing and all that is just don't be stupid. Don't click links to people you don't know, right? Don't put your personal information out there on the web where anyone can grab it, right? So that's the best protection.
It's true. We got to touch on this catalyze. Catalyze, is that how you pronounce it? Catalyze?
Yeah, catalyze. That's what I'm guessing, yeah.
According to this Yahoo News article, they're trying to compete with Telegram and Discord for being decentralized, which you do have a point about, Discord is decentralized in the way that people use it. It's not decentralized itself. But there is a decentralized alternative to Discord and Telegram already. It's called Element is an app of it. It's Matrix.
Gotcha.
But it's not popular because it's not really all that popular outside of the open source community. I mean, it's huge with Linux people because it's
right.
It's replaced, XMPP basically.
Yeah, a lot of these decentralized applications that sort of mirror what people are already familiar with are really appealing to people who are already on board with decentralization.
Right.
They don't really appeal to anyone else, and so they're kind of preaching to the choir, really.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're already sold out on decentralized, and some decentralized app says, "Hey, we're gonna come along and do what Discord is doing, what Telegram is doing, what TikTok is doing, what somebody else is doing, but we're doing it in a decentralized way," then that really is only appealing to a certain crowd. Yep. And so I kind of question really whether or not it's necessary sometimes. I like decentralization. I like what it has to offer, but I don't think everything has to be decentralized.
That's true. I don't think so either. I I did forget to mention at the intro though. It's been over a week since Elon took over Twitter, and Twitter is still standing and still in operation. So just want to point that out.
Right. Yeah. It's funny that Elon Musk he doesn't use the word decentralization. He doesn't promise Twitter is going to be magically transformed into a Web3 property or become a decentralized asset or any of that. He doesn't use any of that language.
Yep.
And so I don't really suspect that he'll do any of that. I think it's interesting what he when he does talk about it. He talks about it really in cryptic language.
Uh-huh.
And you got to try to figure out what he really is saying. And I think what he's got in mind is some kind of payments application.
Yep.
He just hasn't implemented it yet.
Yeah. Speaking of payments, everybody griping about the Twitter Blue $8 a month to be verified. Blah 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 blah. And it's funny hearing these multimillionaires on Twitter bitching about having to pay $8 a month for a blue check mark, but yet they'll go out and spend $8 on a fucking coffee. Sorry, pardon my French.
Right. Yeah, these are the same folks that will, spend thousands of dollars to have the name Lexus tattooed on their backside, right?
True.
But but they're really concerned about that blue check mark and how much it costs. The real problem with that blue check mark, I think, is that if anyone can buy it, then it's not really doing anything.
Yep.
It's not verifying you.
That's what a lot of people don't. From what I understand, to get the blue check mark, you used to have so many followers and so many, like some kind of a what?
Yeah, you had to
or something like that. You had to be a
you had
journalist.
you had to meet certain criteria, and I think you had to undergo a KYC process of some sort. They had to verify that you actually were who you said you are, right? So, if your name is Billy Bob Thornton, then you can say, hey, look, I want to prove that I'm really Billy Bob Thornton. Well, how do you do that? There's only really one way you can do that. You got to produce documentation that you really are Billy Bob Thornton, right? So that was the whole idea behind the verification thing. And you could get a blue check mark. So now Elon Musk comes along. They were already charging for that. It was $4.99.
Yep.
And then Elon said, "Hey, why don't we charge $20?" And some people threw a fit about that. So he negotiated the price down to $8, and and they're still not happy. But that's what it's all about.
Yep. All it is that they don't want to have that guy that works at the gas station have the same blue check mark that they do.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. If anybody can pay $8 and get verified, then nobody's really being verified, because you can just say, my name is Joe Blow, and here's my $8. I'm going to come up there and start tweeting with the blue check mark, and everybody's going to love me.
Yep.
But even more onerous, I think, is also there's some some of the things that Elon Musk is sort of saying he wants to do with Twitter just kind of don't make any sense, really. I actually had an example in my head, and I pulled an Uncle Bonehead, and I forgot it.
It's not hard to do. Not hard to do.
But anyways, I think it'd be interesting to see where Twitter goes. I'm kind of skeptical on the one hand, but on the other hand, I think people aren't giving Elon Musk credit for long range thinking. He takes over, and then all these trolls show up and start posting.
Yeah.
You can argue he's responsible for that in a way, but really, is anybody responsible for trollish behavior other than the trolls?
No, they're not.
They just seized upon the opportunity. I think Twitter is going to deal with that. It's just not going to deal with it immediately. But I think they will deal with it.
Would be cool. Yeah. Anyways, I'm not even going to go there.
You already have. No.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to say, there's just been this big, massive transfer, or whatever you want to call it, migration to Mastodon.
Oh, yeah.
And the Fediverse. And yeah, it's cool, but they're just going to go over there and they're going to find out that Mastodon's not all that different.
We talked about that in the last episode. Yeah, is Mastodon any difference than any other centralized application? And the fact is, you can be censored on Mastodon, and they tell you that if you read their terms, that they have a whole list of things you can't do, and that you will be banned for if you do them. And they're pretty ridiculous. I mean, if you look at them on
yeah.
the surface, it all boils down to somebody sitting somewhere in an office making a judgment about whether or not you intended to harm someone with your words. And if you did, we're just going to ban you. Because they even say so far, not only can you like be racist, but if you advocate racism in any way, if you advocate misogyny in any way, so what does it mean to advocate?
Tell a joke.
Yeah, it's based on somebody's subjective opinion. So if they don't like what you said and how you said it, bam, you're out.
Yep. And that's the biggest problem with social media, is that everybody thinks that they have the right to not be offended. That's not the way life works.
Yeah, but they have a right to offend you. That's
yeah.
Yeah. Funny how these rules they're not two-way streets.
Yep. They can put you in a box without putting you in a box, but you can't put them in a box.
Right. That's humanity in a nutshell, right there. Social media is just really an extension of who we are offline, and so people go up online. I think they feel more emboldened to be themselves behind the anonymous private screen.
Yep.
Even if they're using their real name, what are you going to do if I call you a nasty name on Facebook? What are you going to jump through the computer screen at me? I have physical security, right?
That's
because
right.
you can't reach me, so I can say whatever I want. But we can say things that we wouldn't say if we were looking at each other face to face. And that's dangerous. People just put everything they think out there and then expect everybody else to swallow it. But if you do the same, then by golly, I'm going to make sure you get banned.
It's true. It is so annoying.
That's the world we are. That's the world we are.
I can't wait to see what's going to happen. Is there any idea of how long until they make a judgment call on the Ripple case?
Some of the experts are saying by March. It could be sooner. I suspect maybe sometime over the holidays myself, and everybody's getting into the rush of Christmas and and their eyes are elsewhere.
Yeah.
I think that's when we'll see it.
Unfortunately, yeah. It'll probably be right before they go for their Christmas break, probably.
Well, it could be New Year's Eve when you're watching the ball drop,
That won't happen because nobody in government's going to be anywhere near Washington, D.C.
You have your eyes glued to the TV. You've had 5 martinis, and oops, I dropped my olive down my shirt. Oh, what's that about Ripple?
Would LBRY's judgment be able to touch it, like Bitcoin or anything like that?
No, it shouldn't. I don't think Bitcoin has anything to worry about, actually. Bitcoin there's nobody in charge of Bitcoin. That's the beauty of it.
It's
Nobody in charge.
Like Hive.
Yeah. And if an application is truly decentralized, nobody owns it, nobody controls it, nobody manipulates it, then you can't accuse it of anything. What are you accusing it of? Oh, you're decentralized. That's the only thing you can say about it. Nobody owns it, nobody controls it.
That's true.
So I think decentralization. What we need is more decentralization and less pretentious decentralization. Right. There are a lot of people pretending to be decentralized. A lot of projects pretending. Very few of them are actually achieving it.
Right. Cool. Before we go, do you want to mention the Hive Ledger thing?
Oh, yeah.
We didn't mention that last time.
We didn't mention that, huh? Oh,
I don't think so.
My bad. Huh? I don't remember actually. Well, yeah, the cool thing about Hive and is that it is now partnering with Ledger, where you can looks like you can store and pull up. I don't want to say it wrong. So Hive is actually supporting Ledger wallets now. Basically, in a nutshell, the Nano S, Nano S Plus, and Nano X hardware wallets. And so the interesting thing about that is if you can store your Hive and your HBD on a hardware wallet, then that makes it more secure. Number one, but also you keep it off chain and nobody sees how much you actually have, right?
Right.
So now they can analyze your transactions on the blockchain and see that you've moved your Hive and whatnot. But if you buy Hive on an exchange rather than on the platform, and you store it in your Ledger hardware wallet, then it's out of sight, right? So, and
Nice.
the transactions are there on the blockchain, but if they're not tied to your known wallet address, then it's going to be hard for somebody to know how much you actually hold.
Nice. Well, we've been going for 35 minutes. I think we beat this horse to a hole in the ground for now.
That's a nice hole in the ground, though.
Oh, yeah. Nice. So we'll catch you guys again next time. Remember, you can get us at, email us at podcast@defluenced.online. Subscribe at defluenced.online/subscribe. Find us wherever free podcasts are sold. Don't forget to subscribe to cryptocracy.substack.com. The link to what we talked about, this Cryptocracy email newsletter, will be in the show notes.
Awesome, slawsome. Looking forward to seeing you guys both at Defluenced, the Defluenced party, and at Cryptocracy. So, hey, thanks for tuning in with us today.
Yeah. So, and quick note, apologies for getting it out a day late. It is what it is. Day job got in the way, that kind of thing. So we may end up changing the dates that we publish. So
well, at least change the dates that we record. So we are,
yeah.
We normally record Tuesdays, but Uncle Bonehead had to work yesterday. So we got here as soon as we could, and we'll work on our production schedule this week. So
absolutely. We'll catch you guys again next time. Be good, be safe, and never stick your finger where you wouldn't stick your face.
Ooh.